So Wendy, I just want to say, teaching at your studio has been a fabulous experience. It's one of the most beautiful studios, comfort zone in the country. So,
thank you so much. That's so kind. We felt so blessed to have you, and I know that all the students and practitioners that took your program just absolutely love spending that much time with you.
Yeah, it was a blessing.
Good, good. Thank you. I'd like to, Amy, you have a book out, Yoga for Depression. And in your book, you talk about your own struggle with depression through the 70s and early 80s.
I probably had a genetic predisposition for depression. Depression really haunted me after I gave birth, and for many years thereafter, I felt like I had cotton on my brain. I couldn't put two shoes in a shoebox. I was cognitively impaired and on antidepressants for many years. And this despite the fact that I was meditating. I had been doing meditation. I'd been meditating since the 70s. And it wasn't until I began an embodied practice of yoga, and there was no such thing as yoga for depression at that point. There was just yoga for well-being, and most people were doing yoga to seek enlightenment at that point. It wasn't about therapeutic yoga. So I started doing yoga, and I started doing it at Kripalu Center, and that practice included pranayama, and a little bit of kriya, as well as the asanas from the very beginning. Some traditions don't include pranayama in the beginning. And I began to feel so much better. I took audio tapes home with me and started practicing daily. And every day I started feeling a little better. And I was on antidepressants, I think for at least 9 years. And suddenly, I started feeling, I remember driving across the Newport Bridge, listening to Jean Houston's audio tape. She's a psychologist, saying, giving instructions on naming yourself. So I was in this sort of meditation going across the Newport Bridge where I used to live, and naming myself. And what came up was abundance. And my psychiatrist, who had put me on the antidepressants, said I was one of those people who would always have empty pockets. And here I was feeling really good after practicing yoga daily with audio tapes from Kripalu, because there were no yoga teachers in town, for 8 or 9 months. And when I went to the psychiatrist, she did not see me as, she finally had seen me as someone who she had stabilized on medication after years, and she couldn't see me as someone who could get off that medication. So little by little, I went to another psychiatrist, which was difficult because there's that transference relationship. Went to another psychiatrist, and we very slowly, over the period of about 3 months, titrated my practice. I was practicing daily, slowly withdrew from medication, and that was in 1989, and I haven't been on medication since. And I manage my mood with my practice.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. How do you feel like yoga's impact you when you think back to where you were and when you started? And all these years now practicing and learning and trying all these different techniques, you've kind of been your own guinea pig and are out there sharing all your expertise with the world today. So what do you think's been the greatest impact from yoga with you all these years?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think for me, initially, yoga was medicine. It was, instead of a pill, every day I did my practice, and I needed it to feel better. I needed it to feel well. I needed it to just get on with my life. Yoga was not, you know, I became a yoga teacher not because I wanted to teach so much, but because it was so inspiring to me. It was so, you know, I just loved it, and I just wanted to do more and more of it. But little by little, it became less of medicine and more of just my way of life. It supported everything I wanted to do. I was a writer, and it supported my ability to write, my clarity of mind. It supported my sense of who I was in the world. It allowed me to see that I was so much more than the shifts in mood and maybe some of the negative beliefs I may have carried from childhood about myself. It just broadened my worldview, not only for myself, but for my sense of connection to others, to myself, and to a greater sense of connection to the universe. Yoga is the blessing that that allows me to connect to myself with a small self, you know, the Atman, the sense of who I really am beneath my current mood or beneath whatever challenges life brings, because life is going to bring challenges. But it also allows me to connect with others. It allows me to connect with a sense of the divine, a sense of prana, of energy. I feel so much less alienated and alone than I did when I was depressed. You know, it's just a sense of connection.